Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're diving deep into personal magnetism. We'll be looking at Theron Q. Dumont's The Art and Science of Personal Magnetism. You know, if you're looking to become more magnetic yourself, Dumont seems to think anyone can.
Dumont's approach is so fascinating. He blends practical techniques with these scientific insights that feel, I don't know, surprisingly modern, especially considering the book was published over a century ago.
So Dumont argues that personal magnetism, it's not like this rare gift. It's more like a force we all have. Just some of us use it, better than others.
That's it, exactly. He actually compares it to like a literal magnetic field. Some people repel, others attract, and it's all about consciously generating and projecting that energy. The attractive kind, of course. And get this, he even ties it into thought transference, something that science is only, now beginning to really explore.
I can definitely say I felt that like magnetic pull from some people, right? They walk into a room and you can't help but notice them. Dumont believes this isn't just luck or charisma, right?
Oh, absolutely not. He lays out specific techniques anyone can use to cultivate that magnetism, working with both the mind and body. It's fascinating.
Okay, so in the book, Dumont talks about mental and physical pulls. What's the deal with that?
Well, he's really emphasizing that personal magnetism is not just about like your thoughts and willpower. He highlights the role of your nervous system, this whole network of energy that flows through your body. He even refers to it as nerve force and compares it to, get this, electricity.
So our nerves are like tiny power lines zapping out magnetism.
That's how Dumont saw it.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really interesting. He connects this nerve force to, wait for it, our breath.
Okay, so to become magnetic, I need to start by breathing correctly.
Well, breathing is definitely a key component in his system, yeah. You see, Dumont observed that we breathe differently depending on our emotional and physical state. Drawing on Eastern practices, he links specific breath rhythms to different states of being. Harnessing those natural processes.
That makes sense. Think about how our breathing changes when we're angry versus when we're calm.
Exactly. There's a whole science to it. And Dumont really believed we could control our breathing, consciously, to cultivate a calmer, more powerful state, which then, amplifies our personal magnetism. He even suggests, like, replicating that feeling of relief we experience after intense activity.
So like those deep, calming breaths, after a really tough workout.
That's the one. That specific breath rhythm, he believes it, like, boosts nerve force.
Okay, so we're generating this nerve force through specific breathing.
Yeah.
What then? He mentions these lazy tensing exercises, almost like stretching, but kind of gentler.
It's about consciously directing that energy. He emphasizes avoiding strenuous effort. It's more about, like, becoming aware of those subtle flows and learning to guide them. He recommends, for example, gently tensing and releasing the muscles in your arms, while visualizing the energy flowing to your fingertips. It's thought to enhance, like, your magnetic projection.
I noticed he mentions focusing on the solar plexus and the sacral plexus. Are those like energy centers or something?
Precisely. The solar plexus behind the pit of your stomach, that's associated with willpower and vitality. And the sacral plexus, lower down to the pelvic area, that's linked to creativity and connection. Dumont believed that by focusing on those areas, consciously, whether through stretches or those tensing exercises, it could really amp up the flow of magnetic energy.
Okay, so we're generating this energy through breathing. We're directing it through these focused stretches. How do we then project it outward, like onto other people?
Dumont calls this the direct flash. It's the ability to focus your will and intention to affect, like, another person's magnetic field. He suggests practicing in front of a mirror, sending commands to your reflection. Can you imagine that?
So I'm picturing someone standing in front of the mirror saying, "You will be magnetized by me."
Uh-huh. Yeah, it might sound a little unusual, but the principle is sound. It's about strengthening your intention and visualization. He even gives specific commands to practice, like, "I am stronger than you," or "You are receptive to my wishes." They actually sound a bit like, early hypnotic techniques.
Wait, hold on. Are we talking about like mind control here? Is this ethical?
That's where Dumont's emphasis on responsible use is crucial. He was adamant that this power should be used ethically and warned about any potential backlash from misusing it. It's not about dominating others, but about conscious and respectful influence.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. It sounds like it's not all about commanding others. He talks about the positive aura too, which sounds, well, more positive.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a magnetic presence that, attracts rather than overpowers. He describes this as radiating confidence and positivity, which naturally changes how people respond to you.
So less Darth Vader, more like Oprah.
That's a great analogy. He shares these stories about students who transform their lives just by shifting their inner state and projecting that outward. One student, for instance, learned to navigate those crazy Parisian crowds without getting jostled or pushed around.
No way. Just by, like, changing his vibe?
That's exactly what Dumont observed. And another student, he had been struggling in sales. He became a top performer just by radiating confidence and likability.
Wow. Okay, I'm starting to see how powerful this could be. But what happens when you encounter someone else who's also super magnetic? Like a clash of the titans. Does Dumont address that?
He does. He refers to it as the magnetic duel, a clash of wills between two strong personalities. And get this, he even offers defensive flashes you can use as a counterforce. Things like, my mind is a closed door to your influence.
Like a mental shield.
Exactly. And it really highlights how personal magnetism is this constant interplay, and being aware is key to navigating it successfully.
Okay, one last thing before we wrap up this first part of our deep dive. Dumont discusses corporeal magnetism. Magnetism through touch. What's that all about?
He's referring to how we actually transfer energy through physical contact, like a handshake or even a hug. He believed these actions could carry this, like, potent magnetic charge, for better or worse.
So even a simple handshake can be a magnetic exchange. Now I'm going to overthink every handshake I have. Join us for part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into, the practical techniques and applications of Dumont's system. See you soon.
Welcome back to our deep dive into personal magnetism.
Oh.
Last time we left off with Dumont's idea of corporeal magnetism, the idea that we transmit like magnetic energy through touch.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept, right? It really makes you think about the energy you're sharing, whenever you make physical contact with someone.
Yeah, it makes you think twice about every handshake, every hug.
Absolutely. And Dumont really cautioned about being aware of the potential impact, because of that energetic exchange. So it's not just about how we're touching, but like the intention behind it too. Right?
Precisely. You hit the nail on the head. Like a hug offered with genuine warmth and connection. That's going to transmit a very different energy compared to a hug given out of obligation, or even worse, manipulation.
And it's like, those people who have those incredibly strong handshakes, you can like feel their energy surging through.
Dumont would say that's no coincidence.
Yeah.
He believed those who understood personal magnetism, they could like consciously amplify that energy transfer through touch.
Okay, I am adding that to my list of things to learn. But before we get into like the practical techniques, let's talk about ethics for a second. There's got to be a fine line between like conscious influence and straight up manipulation.
You're right to bring that up, and Dumont addressed it directly in the book. He was super adamant about using this power responsibly. And he even warned against any attempts to like exploit or control other people. He even suggests that those who misuse this power could face some kind of energetic backlash.
So no using mind control to get that promotion or land a date.
Not if you're following Dumont's principles, no. He believed true personal magnetism, it stems from authenticity and integrity, not like trying to force people into doing what you want.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do we actually cultivate this, this ethical personal magnetism? Where do we even begin?
Well, Dumont lays out a pretty structured system. And it all starts with understanding like the two poles of personal magnetism, the mental and the physical.
Right, the mind-body connection. So it's not just about positive thinking, it's about having the physical energy to actually support it.
Exactly. And he starts with the physical aspect, emphasizing the importance of generating like a plentiful supply of nerve force. Remember, he saw nerve force as the foundation of personal magnetism, that vital energy that runs through our nervous system.
And he linked that to our breath, right, using specific breathing rhythms to like increase our energy levels.
Precisely. He observed that after any kind of strenuous activity, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical, our bodies instinctively engage in a particular breathing pattern to, like, recover.
Oh, you mean like those big sighs of relief after a tough workout or even like a stressful meeting?
Exactly. And he noticed we often follow those sighs with a period of, like, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. And he believed that this specific rhythm was key to replenishing our nerve force, like refilling the tank.
So am I supposed to like breathe as if I've just run a marathon, even if I'm just, sitting at my desk?
Not quite. Dumont wasn't advocating for hyperventilation or anything. It's more about, consciously tapping into that natural recuperative breath rhythm. Even when we're not, physically exhausted, he suggests finding a quiet space, closing your eyes, and like mentally recreating the feeling of relief and relaxation that follows, strenuous activity.
So it's more about like replicating the feeling rather than the actual physical exertion.
That's a crucial distinction, yeah. It's about inducing that state of deep relaxation, which allows the body to kind of naturally engage in that restorative breath rhythm.
And he mentions like not forcing it, not counting the seconds, not overthinking it. It's about letting the breath flow naturally.
Exactly, and trying to overthink it. That can actually hinder the process, believe it or not. It's about surrendering to that natural rhythm, allowing your body to do what it, instinctively knows how to do.
Okay, so we're breathing deeply, feeling relaxed, nerve force is flowing. What's next? Is this where those Sazy tensing exercises come in?
You got it. That's the next piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Dumont believed that once we've generated a good supply of nerve force, we need to learn how to distribute it effectively throughout our whole body.
He talks about like squeezing out the old stagnant energy and making space for the fresh, revitalized energy.
That's a great way to visualize it. He observed that people, instinctively stretch after periods of exertion or inactivity. And those yawns and stretches, they're not just about laziness. They're like the body's way of fleshing out that stagnant energy and inviting in a fresh flow.
So instead of hitting the gym, I should just like focus on perfecting my morning stretch routine.
That's a great place to start. Dumont suggests incorporating conscious stretching and tensing exercises into your routine, but, not in a strenuous way. It's more about like gentle, mindful movements. For example, extending your arms overhead, holding the stretch, and then gently releasing it. And as you do this, focusing on the sensation of energy flowing through your arms and fingertips, and then do the same with your legs, your torso, always focusing on that smooth flow of energy.
So it's almost like a moving meditation, bringing awareness to the flow of energy within the body.
Precisely. And combining these exercises with that rhythmic breathing we talked about, that amplifies the effect even more.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. We're breathing deeply, we're stretching, we're feeling the energy flow. But how do we, take this beyond our own bodies? How do we project this magnetism outward?
And that's where Dumont's concept of the direct flash comes in. It involves focusing your will and your intention to influence another person's, magnetic field.
Hold on, are we talking about, Jedi mind tricks here? This is where it gets a little,
It might seem that way, but the principle is rooted in the power of focused intention. Dumont believed that our thoughts carry a real energetic charge, and that this can actually impact others. It's not about, forcing someone to do something against their will. It's more about, subtly influencing their energy and their perception.
So if I want someone to give me their undivided attention, I should, picture them hanging on my every word, listening intently.
Exactly. The key is to visualize that scenario as vividly and as realistically as possible. And then you combine that mental image with a focused intention, almost like you're sending a telepathic command.
And he even suggests specific commands like, I am stronger than you, or you are receptive to my wishes.
Yeah, those might sound a little intense, but the goal is to cultivate that sense of inner strength and authority, which then translates into, more powerful magnetic presence. And remember, Dumont stressed ethical intentions. It's about positive influence, not manipulation.
Right, no mind control tactics.
Exactly. The aim is to influence, not to impose. He also suggests practicing this direct flash in front of a mirror, which might feel a little strange at first.
It does sound a little odd, yeah.
Think of it as a way to train your mental muscles. By sending those commands to your reflection, you're practicing the act of, focusing your intention and projecting your energy outward.
Like a mental rehearsal before the main event?
That's a great way to put it, yeah. By practicing in the mirror, you build that confidence and you refine your ability to project magnetism with clarity and strength.
This is fascinating stuff, but what happens when you, encounter someone who's equally skilled in personal magnetism? Like a real psychic showdown?
Dumont called this the magnetic duel. It's a clash of wills between two powerful personalities. He acknowledged that these encounters, they can be intense, even draining.
So what's the best approach? How do you win a magnetic duel?
Dumont didn't really frame it as winning or losing. He believed the key was to, remain aware of those subtle energy dynamics and maintain your own center of power.
So don't get sucked into their energy vortex.
Exactly. He suggests utilizing what he calls mental shields to protect yourself from that unwanted influence.
Like building an energetic boundary, what do these shields look like?
He recommends like formulating mental statements of denial, almost like countercommands. So if someone's trying to dominate you with their energy, you might silently affirm, "My mind is a closed door to your influence," or "I am impervious to your attempts to control me."
It's like a mental judo move. You're redirecting their energy instead of directly opposing it.
I love that analogy. It's about maintaining your own energetic boundaries and preventing yourself from, getting thrown off balance.
So it's not about like being the strongest. It's about being the most centered and self-aware.
That's a really key insight, yeah. Dumont believed that true mastery of personal magnetism, it doesn't come from brute force. It comes from a subtle, almost paradoxical blend of strength and flexibility.
This is giving me so much to think about. And we haven't even talked about like how we actually apply this in real life situations. I guess that's for part 3. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're wrapping up our exploration of personal magnetism with Theron Q. Dumont. And I gotta say, I'm really excited to figure out how to actually put all of this into practice.
Yeah, this is the exciting part, right? Taking all these theoretical concepts and applying them to, real life scenarios to see how they can create tangible results.
Dumont talks about using personal magnetism for specific purposes, not just radiating good vibes, but actually achieving something concrete. Do you have any specific examples?
Oh, he dives into all sorts of applications, from influencing individuals to captivating a whole audience. One technique that really stands out is what he calls the direct command.
The direct command. What's that? How does that work?
So imagine you're projecting a specific command or demand to another person's mind, infused with your concentrated magnetic force. Remember those mirror exercises we talked about? This builds on that. It's blending that focused intention with that amplified energy.
So it's like sending a telepathic order. You will do this.
You got it. That's the essence. But remember, Dumont always stresses the ethical use of this. It's not about coercion. It's not about forcing someone against their will, right? It's about subtly influencing their thoughts or actions, but in a way that aligns with their best interests.
So more like, you will see the value in this proposal, or you will feel compelled to donate to this worthy cause.
Exactly. Those are great examples. The key is to, combine a clear and concise command with a strong visualization of the outcome you want. Dumont tells this story about a professor who used this technique to command the attention of his students. They went from being completely disengaged to hanging on his every word.
That's amazing. Did he have any other real life examples of this in action?
Oh, he offers several. Like this one about a struggling salesman who used the direct command to inspire feelings of trust and likability in potential customers. And it actually led to a huge boost in his sales.
So it wasn't about forcing a sale. It was about creating a different energy around the whole interaction.
That's it. It's about generating a magnetic field that naturally draws people in, influencing their perceptions and actions in a subtle but powerful way.
That makes sense for one-on-one influence. But what about when you need to connect with a larger group? Does Dumont have any techniques for that?
He calls it charging the atmosphere with positive magnetism. And it really builds on that idea of the positive aura we were talking about.
Right, that idea of cultivating a sense of confidence and positivity.
Yes. But when you're addressing a group, Dumont says you need to take it even further. He recommends visualizing the entire audience, like being enveloped in your magnetic field, sensing your energy, and responding to your message.
So turning up the volume on your personal magnetism to reach everyone in the room.
Perfect analogy. He emphasizes combining this amplified aura with a clear intention for what you want the audience to feel, to experience. He gives an example of a politician who mastered this technique. He became known for captivating audiences, leaving them feeling, inspired and energized.
So it's not just about the words, it's about the energy that surrounds those words.
That's exactly it. It's creating a shared energetic experience that goes beyond just the content of your message.
This is incredible, but let's be real for a second. There are times when, personal magnetism feels less like a superpower and more like a burden.
What do you mean?
Well, what about when you're feeling drained or overwhelmed? Can you just switch off your magnetism? And how do you deal with people who just seem to drain your energy?
Don't worry, Dumont covers those concerns too.
Mm-hmm.
He acknowledges that it can be exhausting to be, on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He suggests practicing techniques to protect yourself from unwanted energy drains.
Like those mental shields we were talking about.
Those are great. Visualize yourself surrounded by a protective barrier, something that deflects negative energy. helping you to, maintain your own sense of balance.
He also mentions projecting an aura of, like, unapproachability for when you just need a break.
Exactly. It's not about being rude or anything. It's just subtly signaling that you're, not open to interaction at that moment. It allows you to conserve your energy.
I can see how that would be so helpful, like in crowded places or when you're just feeling overwhelmed.
And he even provides techniques for dealing with what he calls energy vampires. Those people who just seem to drain you of your vitality.
Oh, yeah, we all know a few of those, right? What's the best defense?
Dumont suggests projecting a firm mental command. Just no further. Imagine their attempts to latch onto your energy are met with this impenetrable barrier.
Like a mental stop sign.
I like that, yeah. It's about establishing those energetic boundaries to protect your own well-being.
This has been an amazing deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of, personal magnetism, the power of subtle energy, all of it. What are some key takeaways for listeners who want to, explore this further?
I think, first of all, remember that personal magnetism, it's a skill. It's something you can cultivate through practice and awareness. It's not something you're, born with or not. It takes time and effort to master these techniques.
So don't get discouraged if you don't feel like a magnet right away.
Exactly. And secondly, prioritize aligning your physical and mental energy. Dumont's whole system hinges on that mind-body connection.
So those breathing exercises and stretches, they're not just optional add-ons.
Not at all. They're foundational.
Aha.
And finally, always remember the ethical implications. This is powerful stuff. It's crucial to use it responsibly and respectfully.
This has been a truly enlightening deep dive. It feels like we've, only scratched the surface of Dumont's work. Any final thoughts for our listeners today?
Well, Theron Q. Dumont has given us this system for tapping into the potent energy that exists within each of us. And it's really up to us to use these techniques with awareness, with intention, and with integrity. It's a journey of self-discovery and mastery that goes way beyond just attracting what we want. It's about understanding the profound interconnectedness that we all share.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.